As we head into a new week, we look at the week ahead and the vital stats that you need in order to make your trading decisions, as well as geopolitical risks, including Brexit, what's happening there, high on the horizon. Anyway, the man that will help us out with all that we need to know is Bob Mason of FX Empire. This is the week ahead. Hello, Bob. Good to see you again. Welcome to the show. Let's dive straight in, shall we? Economic data for next week. How's that looking? Specifically with the presidential debate coming up. Last time there was slight volatility in the market. Can we see that again?
Yeah, it's a busy week on the economic calendar next week. I mean, for the US dollar, the main event is the presidential debate, second one that's on the 15th of October. So expect that to be a key driver. We've seen market volatility kick in the first debate. Markets kind of brushed off the vice presidential debate. So expect plenty of movement. Another Trump bad performance, and we can see risk aversion kick in. Biden's still out ahead in the polls. Economic data, retail sales, manufacturing PMIs out of Philly and New York State, weekly jobless claims, and prelim consumer sentiment figures, and inflation figures in the early part of the week. These are the key stats for the US dollar. For the euro, quiet week, ZEW economic sentiment figures for Germany and the Eurozone. We've got industrial production trade data for the Eurozone as well, but that's likely to have a muted impact on the euro. We've seen member state numbers. And then finalized inflation figures are also likely to have a muted impact. For the pound, claimant count, unemployment rate will be the key drivers. And then there's obviously Brexit. So it's a busy week ahead, so don't expect it to be too quiet.
Okay, lovely. Let's switch our attention now to the commodities, currencies. What can we expect from the loonie and the Kiwi dollar specifically?
Yeah, for the commodity currencies, relatively quiet week. For the loonie, manufacturing sales figures, not going to have too much impact on the loonie. So expect risk sentiment and crude oil prices to continue influence. And that's going to come from, economic data out of the US, out of Europe, the Eurozone, and out of China. So those would be the key drivers. For the Aussie dollar, consumer confidence and the all-important employment figures due out midweek. So, those would be the key drivers. Any week unemployment numbers, and expect the Aussie dollar to take a slide. There has been some rumblings of negative rates amongst some analysts. So obviously dire numbers would support that. For the Kiwi dollar, not much to look out for. Electronic card retail sales figures, that will have an influence. But, obviously we're expecting economic data from China and risk sentiment to ultimately be the key drivers for the commodity currencies in the week.
And on to our Asian giants, Japan and China. How's the economy looking there, and what key stats should our traders be looking out for?
Yeah, for the Japanese yen, definitely see, US politics to be the key driver for the yen in the week ahead. As we saw in the first live presidential debate, the Japanese yen got a bid, off the back of Trump's performance and the fact that, the debate really didn't narrow the gap for Trump going into, the final month of, election campaigning. So if we see similar trend, in terms of performance on the 15th, then expect the yen to get a boost. We saw it go back to 105. We could see 104, 103s if Trump really does fail to narrow the gap in the week. We've got less than sort of 25 days till the election day. So, things are heating up and Biden's holding on to this gap. So I think that will be the key driver in the week.
And finally, geopolitical risk. With Brexit only a matter of months away, UK and the EU at loggerheads in arranging a deal. Can we expect a deal soon? And what does that mean for the market?
Yeah, away from the economic calendar, well, you've really got to be considering Brexit. Talks were extended for another month by, Boris Johnson and Ursula von der Leyen. So we had first round of talks last week, and the next round of talks in Brussels are in the week ahead. And this is the last chance to loon, in terms of avoiding a no-deal Brexit. So expect plenty of influence, from updates, from obviously both EU and from the British government on what lies ahead. Obviously key is UK fisheries. Will the EU compromise? Obviously, if there's no Brexit, then the EU has pretty much no access to UK waters. So it kind of would make sense if there is some form of a compromise, for EU to at least have some access to what they would normally not have access to. So it kind of wouldn't make sense for the EU to walk away. So hopes are for a deal which had provided support to the pound, in recent weeks. You know, we're back at 129 levels last week.
Well, that's all for today, Bob. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'll see you again next time. That was The Week Ahead with Bob Mason. Thank you for tuning in. In the meantime, keep up to date with all the latest developments in the market by following us on all our social media outlets.